Hey, Loco sports fans, welcome to a special emergency episode of the Lowco Diamond Dudes podcast. We're getting you ready for the high school baseball and softball playoffs. We are here. We have arrived at playoff season in the Lowco, all kicking off first pitch on Monday throughout the South Carolina High School League and the Skeezer ranks. And I'm Wes Kerr, joined as always by Coach and Mullis. Justin Jarrett will be joining us momentarily. But, Coach, first off, how are you doing? How's your weekend been? You ready for some playoff baseball and softball?
I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Can't wait. This is the best time of year.
Fantastic. Well, great to hear it. We're going to take a look at the playoff brackets a little bit later and chat. But first, we'll chat with a couple of coaches hoping to lead their teams on some deep playoff runs with Al Schmidt from May River and Shane Monahan for Buford High Juniors in a few minutes. But first, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Today's show is presented by the new official real estate agent of Lowco Sports, Mrs. Lowco herself, Megan Jarrett of the Pierce Group of Keller Williams of the Lowcountry. New coach moves to Lowco. Families looking to make a move. If you need a realtor, go with Team Lowco. So thank you to Megan Jarrett for helping us with supporting our outstanding grassroots local sports efforts. Well, Ned, it is time. We are into the playoff season. Baseball and softball playoffs getting underway this week. Not quite winner go home. It is a double elimination format, or in some cases, a best of three. But you can lose one and still stay in it, but you can't lose two. A couple different formats in play. So we do have the best of three in Skiza, but we also have the standard double elimination bracket. So obviously, it's a war of attrition, as we mentioned. As you get deep, you got to have depth in the pitching department, and it's definitely a grind. But you got to be well focused the entire way. You got to have that depth, and you got to stay hot at the plate in order to get the job done.
Oh, absolutely. And it's gone from the pod system, which had been the way for the last 5 or 6 years, I know. And it was that was really fun because you kind of got to look at it. Looked like a college. You had a regional weekend where you had a 14 pod, so you could kind of work, and then you had a super regional behind it. But the way these things work out with the regions, you just got to see a lot of the same people a lot. And we got tired of going. I mean, we saw South Florence a lot. I'm sure they're tired of seeing us. And just that, using that as an example, I think we played them 3 or 4 years or something like that. So hopefully this will give us a little bit more, spread things out a little bit and let us see some different people. But I
So,
mean
JJ,
that.
how are you doing today?
Doing all right, man. Sorry about that. I had some computer issues. Apparently, while we were at baseball practice, the power flickered off and my computer restarted, and it was taking forever to reboot. So I was trying to get in here for the start of the show, but yeah, good day out there. The field's surprisingly holding up all right. So hopefully that's true for our high school programs too, because we got a ton of rain overnight. But nothing a few assistant coaches with a rake couldn't take care of today. So talking about the pod system, it's still the same for 3A, right? Like they've still got the old format where it's
old one,
and
right.
2A. It's just 4A that went to this new splitting the bracket in half thing. So I do have the bracket pulled up for 4A, but it's not filled in yet. They haven't filled it in on the high school league site yet. I'm sure you guys know who everybody's playing.
They didn't
yeah.
switch that across the board. They just switched it per division.
Yeah, so see, here's your 4A bracket
Right.
where it's got half of the lower state in one and then half of the lower state in the other. But then I'll get the 3A bracket up in a second. It's the old format where you've got the 14 pods playing a double elimination.
We'll have to talk to Shane about that. Maybe he'll have a little more insight into that.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, you want to get these fellas in here and start talking the playoffs a little bit? Let's bring them in. We got Shane Monahan and Al Schmidt, two of the high-profile coaches in the Lowco going into the playoffs. And you guys are both in situations where you'd love to be in that region champion catbird seat, but you've got your work cut out for you, certainly. So I'm interested to hear about whether you guys have the same perspective or not on how you approach that. Like, in my mind, you want to stay in that winner's bracket as long as you can, avoid a championship game or a elimination game as long as possible. But at the same time, you got to be thinking ahead a little bit too, as far as pitcher usage and things like that. So what are kind of your philosophies when you get into this format?
Al, you want to go first or you want me to go?
Sure. I mean, for me, it's, you just mentioned pitching, and that's the big thing. It's, hopefully, right, if things go well, you're playing 3 games this week, so all of a sudden where, normally you might only have 2 region games in a week that, kind of matter, if you will. Now you got 3 games that matter, so it's gauging and, do you want, how long does a guy go on Monday, and do you let him go the whole time? Do you get him out where he can throw again on Friday, possibly? So there's a lot of that chess match that comes into play in the postseason because, you want to be able to make a run, but at the same time, you got to win the game. Otherwise, you don't get the opportunity to play later on in the week. So it's, right. It's that balancing act, I think, where, kind of get used to it, with pitch counts and things like that, been around for a while now, but that I think to me is the part of tournament ball that comes into play.
Yeah, he might have a little shorter hook too. If a guy just doesn't have it right away, get him out of there and save him for another day. Shane, how about you? Same kind of philosophy, generally?
I think I'm going to approach it just like I do with my summer travel program, high school guys. I think we've done a good job all year long at Buford. I'm looking at my pitching rotations here, and I've got 7 guys that can be starters right now that have thrown meaningful innings sometime this year. We're going to throw Malcolm Webb game 1 against Gilbert. Down the stretch, he's been our ace. And I think what we have to do, and I'm sure Ned and Al will agree, is we've got to manage the backside of the rotation and the relievers. I've got Zach Talbert, who I use as my closer. That could be a swing guy and be a starter down the way if we get into having to beat a team twice, or we're the team that has to be beat twice. So I think it does come down to watching, like, hey, is this guy on? Is he off? What's the pitch counts? What's the rules? In 3A, we're old format. So I start off with Gilbert. If we beat Gilbert, we lose Gilbert. We may run into them in 2 games down there and have to beat them twice and have to play them 3 times total. So, it's a long week, long playoff, long. And actually, I'm envious of the 4A. I love the 4A setup where you're winning and you're playing a different team all the way down. I think that's just, to me, that's more exciting. But I think I'm going to manage it like I do in the summer. So my pitch counts, cooks, going with guys that had good bullpens today, yesterday, and Friday, and we'll go from there.
Right. Well, the other thing is best laid plans can go awry because just a little bit of weather screws this whole thing up.
Oh yeah.
And then you start going back to back, and
weather's looking pretty solid this week, but knock on wood, you never really know around here in the Lowcountry, do you? So hopefully the conditions will remain sunny as the forecast is looking. But let's just talk about both of these teams. Both of you having very successful years so far. What has impressed you the most about some of these players in both your teams?
So I'll start on this one. This last month, I feel like I've been waterboarded. I haven't been able to come up for an easy layup game. When we started at West Ashley and Ashley Ridge and Somerville and Fort Dorchester, you get to Savannah Christian. It's just been week after week after week. And we've been into every ball game going into the 5th inning. We have been down a run, up 3 runs. We've competed with these 5A schools, and we just one bad inning. Like I tell my guys, we've just never been able to Band-Aid the bleeding fast enough, and it just kind of gets away from us. But our kids have competed. We've got a lot of kids on this squad that are starting that didn't even start last year for Buford or started and hit $150, but now they're hitting $350. So, it's my expectations are always up here, right? I thought, we're going to blow through, but I think we ended up 12-12, and with the schedule that we played, like I have to take a step back and be like, that's successful, okay?
Yeah.
Because we're playing perennial powerhouses, and as I've told my guys, we're now 0-0. We're going into playoffs. It's a new season. Friday's practice was pretty light. We went over a lot of stuff. Saturday's practice was pretty light. We had the music pumping. Gave my guys off today. They got tarp duty in an hour to pull the big tarp off, and then we'll get back out and practice tomorrow. And then Gilbert comes to town on Tuesday. So, I would say our resiliency.
Schmidt, how about your fellas? You got some young ones in there.
I think for our squad, it's probably the growth that we've seen over the last 2 months. We don't now at this point. We had an injury to Davis Rose, hurt his arm and can't throw currently, so we don't start a senior. On the diamond, and actually, we only start 2, maybe 3 juniors. Depending on who's throwing that night. And just we're freshmen and a bunch of sophomores really. So, the growth that they've had and they're baseball kids though. That's the fun part. They're locked in and this matters to them and they enjoy playing. It's not just something they do. They have passion for it. And we had a practice yesterday at 9:00 in the morning. And it was as good a practice as we've had all year. There's not a drop off. They're not getting tired of it. They're not, whatever. They come to play ball and they were very efficient, very locked in yesterday. When it's Saturday morning, normally that's our loose practice, like Coach was just talking about, where we turn the music on a little bit. We kind of did that on Friday because the weather didn't really cooperate. We couldn't necessarily get out on the field Friday. So we kind of flip-flopped, had that be the loose one. And they came back, about 12 hours later, basically, and we're locked in, ready to go. So, we're young, but, Coach Mullis actually reminds them a lot, like, you're not kids anymore. Like, we're not going to use that excuse of you're only freshmen and sophomores. You've played a full season now. And, like Coach Monahan just said, it's go time. We expect to be successful. I don't care if it's a 10th grader out there doing it or whatever. That's one thing is, we've really tried to, in the few years that I've been here is, we're going to have a good time. But, man, when you're out on that field and you're wearing a May River jersey, you're going to play the game the right way. You're going to conduct yourself in the right way, and you're going to go out there to compete and win. So we've come a long way, I think, in the last couple of years. Still certainly have a long way to go. But, I'm proud of how hard they've worked, and how much they've grown this year. So.
And getting that buy-in can be difficult. Young men of that age are not always the easiest to get along with. And Shane, you've been pretty open on Twitter just about the challenges that you maybe didn't foresee of coaching high school baseball versus other levels. And it's a whole thing. I mean, you got to be a large part psychologist and relationship counselor and a little bit of everything. But, what are some of the challenges you guys face with this particular level? And then, I think the flip side is anytime there's a challenge, there's typically a reward. And so, how rewarding is it when you see it click and see a kid really figure it out?
I think Alan and Ned, obviously not being a high school coach last year and kind of watching Tyson as a freshman, they're building a culture, and it's superseded. Culture takes a while, right? But they've done more in a year because some of these younger kids have been able to play. They've been able to relax. They get on them when they need to, but they've let them play. I'm on the flip side, right? I've got a senior class that has had 3 head coaches in the last 3 years. They don't know which end is up, who to listen to, where to turn to. And, we've kind of established look, eyes forward. We've got to focus up. I'm sitting on a sophomore class that's absolutely loaded. And I can't get them into the lineup because I've got a bunch of seniors that are playing well right now, which is a good problem to have. But then you're like, holy smokes, okay, the sophomores have got to stay positive. But that's been my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge, is coming from an elite travel program with our older age groups and having success in getting those kids to college and dealing with guys like Tyson, who's my leadoff guy, and Logan Brecher and Hudson Mullen, all those guys from all the schools around this area. And then you got like a 4-mile window of kids that are maybe not so serious about it. So I'm having to learn how to weed through okay, this kid's here because he's social and he's happy to be here. And this kid's here because he really, really wants it. But I've got to give some grace to my team just because of the scenario of 3 head coaches in 3 years is not easy. Fortunately for me in my career, I always had stability except for when I got to the minor leagues every year. I always had the same high school coach. I always had the same travel coach. the same college coach. So I've had to take a step back and kind of, Ned and I have talked endless amounts of times behind the camera, just about perspective. And great friend, great mentor, just somebody I can chop it up with, and he gives me perspective. And then I've got Al too, who I respect a ton, and we're good friends. And I watch how he manages his team, and we're two different guys, right? He's kind of a little more quiet and kind of lets them settle in, and I'm more push the gas and kind of get moving. And but I've learned kind of like, hey, when to push and when to back up. But in the summertime, I don't. It's pedal down. Those guys go. So,
they're paying to do it. They're paying for that pedal.
Well,
they are. Yes, they are. Yes,
well, fellas, I'm sure you've been impressed by how much the growth of baseball has evolved these last few years here in the Lowco, and the influx and the improvement of talent. And you just look at the guys who are turning it up to the next level, like Bennett Romer over at Newberry, Darren Horn over at Coastal Carolina, and then Carl Majinski still working his way up now at AAA Indianapolis for the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. So, just tell me how proud you are of those guys, and how talent here in this level of baseball high school continues to grow and set them up for opportunities at the next level.
Shout out to Matt Poston from Wade Hampton at North Carolina. He's dealing up there too.
Closing for the Heels.
Flowdar guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's just that's the fun part about get down here and get around and get to know more baseball guys like Shane and and guys that are from the area. Me being a northerner originally, and so as I get to know and learn and respect the different programs and watch how guys do it, and it's a big deal, and there's a big commitment with a lot of these kids and a lot of these families, to baseball, and the ability to play it all year round the way that we can down here is a huge change, especially for me, and obviously I love it, and so it's like. Yeah, but watching these guys and getting to know Shane's guys and or the Hilton Head guys or whoever, it's fun to watch them and see where they go and certainly support them if in any way that you can. I mean, I think we all would do that. I think Shane would help a kid from May River or Bluffton or whatever if he had to or could, and we're all looking out for each other and trying to get opportunities for any kid down here, that wants to go and do it at the next level if they're willing to do it.
Yeah, I think we all knew that Bennett had a ton of talent. I think last year he ran into some injuries. He was the ace on the May River team as a dad, just kind of sitting in the stands and watching. You could see it. The talent is there. But I think a lot of high school kids are like that, right? Like you see the initial talent, and then all of a sudden they go to school and it's they're on a regiment and they're in class, they're in a weight room 2-3 hours a day where they can't do it at high school, and they're on a strict throwing program, and maybe that pitching coach's message resonates different with him than maybe what Ned was saying. Kids are different, and then all of a sudden Bennett takes off, right? Like it was always there, which it's great. The Majinski brothers, right? Tons of talent, working their way up through the minor leagues. He's on the grind. He's on the buses. He's I've lived that life. I get it, man. But I think again, having guys like Al and other high school coaches, Ned, Coach Joel at Hilton Head, baseball guy, Coach Kitty's been around forever, J-Dub over at HHC area. We just care about kids. And I don't care if you're at Bluffton. I don't care if you're – I work with May River. I work with Al's guys all the time, over at my facility. Or I work with kids that I may be playing down the road. I just want to help them get better. And hence why my travel program started. Like, we weren't getting what I felt was the necessary eyes on the Lowcountry players, like on a higher level, like a Clemson to South Carolina. We were getting kids to smaller schools, but there's a lot of talent down here. I mean, there's a lot of talent down here that's just untapped. And, you put them in bigger competitions, better competitions, and they get better. And then you get kids now signing at Clemson and Coastal Carolina and some stuff, and Ned's been around. I mean, I laugh all the time. He's Old Man River, right? He's been around forever. He's seen Hilton Head back in the heyday where there was a lot of talent. And then there's the ebb and flow. Every year there's going to be ebb and flow. and we're back on an upswing. I mean, I can tell you right now, May River in, I don't know, what is it, guys, 3 years, 4 years, they're going to be loaded.
Yeah.
Half my climb organization is going to filter right into them. Like they're going to be well taught and well coached, and they're going to have a nice run.
And the pipeline continues to grow. I mean, we see some great talent. The travel leagues, and you look at Dixie Youth, you look at other travel organizations that are continuing to teach these kids the right way, teach the fundamentals, find ways to get them to improve and be ready for when that tryout comes at the high school level to show what they're made of. So I just think when the rising tide lifts all boats, with the rising competition, everybody wanting to continue to improve, and just the passion of these coaches with you guys to do what you are doing, it makes a difference for these kids, and it's going to be very rewarding for all of you.
Well, I just got a text. You were talking about kids loving the game, and we talk about different ways. Everybody can find their way or do whatever. Zach Murdaugh just texted me. JJ Majinski, Carmen's little brother, and Zach are the two everyday starters for South Carolina's club team that's playing in the national championship for club teams. And Zach's wanting to come throw a pin this week, and he's like, "Can JJ and I come throw?" I mean, and that's the kind of stuff you really love. You want to talk about guys that love the game. Those are guys that love the game. Those are two guys that could pitch at a lot of small colleges. But, their books outran their baseball. And, but they're still continuing to play on a high level. Those club teams at Carolina and Clemson are pretty doggone good. And they get a lot of support, from the big team. But I think it's so cool when you get that text that they're wanting to come back as well, and they're still that's your guys that are going to be your high school coaches down the road, stuff like that.
No question. Yeah, I mean, Patterson, you guys are always working on Patterson, trying to get him on staff.
Yeah, he'd be JV head coach. Josh, you out there? Where you at?
SOS.
Come on.
I got the tech gremlins today, fellas. My computer just rebooted in the middle of the show, so I'm on my phone right now. But
Josh isn't busy after yesterday, so we can keep it.
There you go. Yeah, he's got plenty of time.
He's got a little time now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your brackets and the draws that you have. I guess we can start with you, Al, and just taking a look at the first couple of rounds and how you feel like you match up.
Well, we got a really unique opportunity in the first game of the year, first game of the bracket, with Hartsville, being a perennial power, and a kind of well-known and well-respected school throughout the state in a lot of sports. And we're going to get to go up there and play in that ballpark and, in their fans and in that, environment. And, our guys are excited about it. Ned and I have done a good job of talking it up and making sure they know, what they're going to get into. And, long bus ride, right? 3 hours one way, to get up there. But, we're looking forward to it, and the chance after that, if we can pull that one out, then we get to go against the 1 seed, and which will likely be, barring some type of upset, it'll be Lugoff. And, and that's where I said, those are the games you want to play in. I mean, Shane touched on it earlier, playing all those 5A schools and things like that, it's why we go to the HIT tournament and played 3 teams from North Carolina, type of thing. Like we don't want to run into a surprise or be outmatched when we get to the end of the year. And, I think we've done a good job of preparing, for Monday, and, we're excited about it. So you look at that, if we weren't to lose on Monday or whatever, we'd likely get to host the game, but, and that all sounds well and good to be able to host the game, but like you mentioned earlier, you don't want to be in that loser's bracket to get that. So I'm more than content to be on the road for as long as we got to be on the road, because it means we're winning baseball games. So
I like the gray jerseys.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you spent enough on them.
How about you, Shane? We'll what do you think about your pod, Shane? Obviously, I mean, we talked a couple of weeks ago, and you were going, "Man, we need to beat Hanahan so we don't have to see Gilbert in the first round." So you don't love it, but you got to beat him at some point.
I saw it coming down the train tracks because, I mean, now you got Gilbert, who's every year, number 1 or number 2. And this year, Brooklyn Casey, and if I say it wrong, I apologize. I think it's Dreer.
Yep.
Jarrett had a huge year and then bumps Gilbert to the 3rd seed. They're normally a number 1 seed. So, for me, like Al said, look, we host at home, and we're really, really tough at home all year long. We've been really, really tough. And that's before our students even show up. We haven't had – the students haven't really, really packed it in yet, but it's playoff time now.
When you get to the playoffs, those Kirkland crazies, they're
he's calling on you, Kirkland crazies. He made you Monday or Tuesday night.
Out, pack
Tuesday night, if you're ready, let's go. But look, it's a tall order, right? We're going to have Gilbert round 1. We win. We head up to Lake City, who's had a really nice year. So we take a 3-hour trek up north there. If we lose, we're back at home, and then we're going to get the loser of that Lake City, and I think it's Loris. And Loris has had a nice year, and they're solid. So
they've had some guys come through there.
And it's just again, it's waterboarding this week. So as I've told my guys, get your scuba gear. We're going to war. We're not going to look. My mentality is we're not going to back down from anybody. I've got some really good arms, and we're going to go to war, and just going to let the chips fall. And to Al's point, if I got to go on the road to do it, we're going to go on the road and do it.
The chips fall where they may. That's you never know. You never know what can happen. Even just a 2-game sample size, you got to be the top of your game, and minimize those mistakes, because the margins are very thin between these teams in high school baseball. When you get to the postseason. But Coach, it's been a special year for Buford Athletics. Starting off with that historic state championship win for football, then a great run for basketball, and you got a couple other sports. Soccer's having a really nice year, and then same thing for you guys for baseball. Track and field's been solid. You go across the board, golf, tennis. The standard for Buford Athletics has continued to rise. How special is it to be to coach in that winning atmosphere?
It's been nice, the support from the administration, from the AD, you've got other coaches that, they're calling, they're like, hey, dude, I need a baseball hat. You got a baseball hat for me. Hey, what's going on? Or, last week 2 weeks ago when we were at Hanahan, gosh, we had girls softball there. We had soccer there. So all of us were up at Hanahan and kind of bouncing back and forth in games. And, obviously it makes you want to be the team that continues the torch. You don't want to be 2 and Q and get out where everybody else is having long runs. And, really that's the goal for my team is let's pass the torch and keep elongating the season. Let's not be 2 and Q. Let's not be the team that breaks that chain. And I think our guys are ready.
And Coach, going over to you, Coach Schmidt for May River. You guys have been battle tested in a really tough region, 7-4-8, to go against the likes of James Island, Hilton Head. How has that tough run prepared you for what you have ahead now in the postseason?
I think, for us, it's been trying to be consistent throughout a series. It's like we seem to have one game where we look like we're, ready to play anybody. And then the second game, or maybe it would be the first game off the jump, and we don't look like we're prepared. We don't look like we're ready to go. And so it's I think hopefully we did put 2 games together, pretty good games together against James Island, to be honest with you, even though we lost both games. But we were competitive, and you see it, and you talk to James Island's coaches, and they're like, dang, you guys, like, that's a good baseball team, and Coach, the last thing Coach Spivey said, go win some games, Coach, because you guys can do it, and we're getting to that point where, that those tough games against Hilton Head and the battles that we've had, like even with Bluffton played us very hard, and beat us in the second game. And, it's, so hopefully we're learning, that you have to bring it every night, because otherwise, you lose and you're done now. And so I think, after we lost to James Island, we kind of had a shot in the first game of the series, and I wasn't real sure. We had Tyson going, and that's always a good thing for us. But, but going up there and playing them, on their senior night, and we know we were getting Keeler was going to throw against us, and he's on his way to Newberry to pitch, and we competed. I mean, that was a 2-1 baseball game, until the 6th inning or so, and they they put a couple more on us and beat us 4-1. But I'm like, we play like that against the majority of teams we're going to see. We're going to be in the ball games, you know what I mean? And have a chance to win. And that's all you want at this time of year. So,
yeah, I mean, it comes down to one timely hit or one play on defense a lot of times when it comes down to it in these games. So
don't let him fool you. Don't let Al fool you. May River could flat out swing it. I've seen him play 3 times this year, and every game they're 7 through 8, 9 come up with big hits. The dudes can swing it. They can absolutely swing it.
Yeah. I mean, the younger kids are definitely.
We have good team speed too. That's another thing. If we get on base, we can put pressure on you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Very good, fellas. Well, we're looking forward to it, but we're at the halfway point here, so we need to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors, and we'll let you guys get on with your Sunday. I'm sure you have better things to do. So thanks so much for jumping in with us, and best of luck next week. And we'll be right back with more here on Lowco Diamond Dudes.
Hey, Lowco sports fans. This podcast and all of our grassroots local sports content are made possible by support from community sponsors, including Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of Lowco Sports, and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. Our original sponsors are still among our greatest supporters. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson are community pillars who will be in your corner no matter your legal needs. When you need legal representation, call on the attorneys who support Team Lowco. Call Mickelson Law Firm. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Lowco Sports, and the only not-for-profit hospice in southern Beaufort County. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry have been there to ensure your loved ones find comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. Jan Lucas and his team provide thorough, detailed home inspections aimed to ensure everyone goes into the transaction with open eyes and confidence. Jan would rather reveal an inconvenient truth than look the other way and provide reassurances that could come back to burn the buyer in the long run. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and need an honest, reliable inspector, call on Homegrown Home Inspections, official sponsors of Lowco Sports. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If your business or organization has a website and you're trying to figure out what SEO is, you need to call on Denise and Dave Sinkovich at DDS Web Design. They'll provide a free consultation and do all the behind-the-scenes work to boost your search engine optimization and get your website found online so you can take your business to the next level. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. American Wood Reface, sustaining sponsors of Lowco Sports. Does your kitchen need a facelift? Before you start picking out new cabinets, give Ben and the team at American Wood Reface a shot. They can reface your existing cabinets to overhaul your aesthetic without the hefty price tag and reimagine your kitchen at a price point you can manage. Be sure to tell them Lowco sent you because every referral helps support Lowco Sports. 4M Metals, sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports. Got metal? Your roof might need it. Metal roofing advantages include better energy efficiency, weather protection, longevity, a more aesthetically pleasing design, and the product is all green. So if you've been thinking about a new roof, go metal. Let 4M Metals be the difference in your roof. Jay's Barbershop. It's the talk of the town and the place to be in Ridgeland. If you need your ears lowered, head over to Jay's for a fresh cut and great conversation with good folks. And tell them Lowco sent you. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling some of the best pies in the Lowco, and my kids say the mac and cheese is the best around. Hungry? Hit up Local Pie, longtime supporter of Lowco Sports. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry, the official floor cleaners of lowcosports.com. If your feet tell you your floors need cleaning, call on Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. They provide residential and commercial services, including cleaning carpet and area rugs, tile and grout, upholstery, curtains and drapes, mattresses, and more. But most importantly, they'll get those floors so clean, your feet will thank them. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. Hilton Head Prep is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we tell you all about the Dolphins' athletic exploits. But did you know it's also the #1 ranked private K-12 school in Beaufort County and ranks in the top 2.5% of schools nationwide? Visit hhprep.org to see what Hilton Head Prep has to offer. Buford Academy is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we love covering the Eagles. With a student-to-faculty ratio of 7-1 and an average class size of 14 students, Buford Academy could be just the educational solution you're looking for, with more one-on-one attention. BA has a strong history of working with the whole child to prepare each student for college and life. Check them out at BufordAcademy.org. Thank you to all of our sustaining and supporting sponsors for their support of LowcoSports.com. Go Lowco.
All right, back here on the Lowco Diamond Dudes. Good to talk with Al and Shane on the eve of the playoffs, and you can see the competitive juices starting to flow already. They're fired up. They're ready to go into that winner take all format, and I think I think that gets us all going a little bit. I think all these kids have played travel ball coming up. They know what a tournament format is like. That's the environment they've thrived in for years. So I think they rise to the challenge too. I'm excited for playoff time. So you want to take a look at the brackets, shall we? I've got all of them queued up here, ready to go. We'll start with the 4A baseball bracket, although it is not fully filled out on here.
Well, I saw a couple. Bluffton's got.
Yeah.
Hilton, I believe, is Greer in they got at large. There are a couple spaces filled in, I believe, on the baseball side, but not everything. Lower State has not. Yeah, Lower State's not yet.
Yeah,
I know Greer. That's where Caden Grice come from, and if they've got another one of those guys, you better watch out because he's pretty good.
Yeah, I did see the full bracket on Bluffton side. I haven't seen the one on the other side. Somebody posted it on Twitter. But yeah, Bluffton's got
Elgin and somebody else on our side. I'm not sure. I didn't see Hilton Head side. Either way, it's a good. Either way, it's a way better way to go about it because you're going to see different people.
Right. And, you're not going to see the same team twice.
You kind of got to look at it. It was a huge thing staying out of that 4-seater, that at-large, because, didn't really want to see. But, you never know about Bluffton might catch a break, and it was what we were talking about the other day. North Myrtle might pitch off. And if you take Bluffton for granted, they can beat you. Miles Fry has shown he can go up against any team. He gives good team. Man, he's a handful for good teams.
Yep.
Bluffton doesn't get a whole lot of respect. They've made a couple nice little runs the last couple of years.
The pitching has been solid. I think the offense is what you're really, because they were not able to really get the offense going these last few games. They have some strong pieces in the core of this lineup, but the offense is going to have to find a way to really ignite things. Jackson Arsenault has been a nice spark recently.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think he's driven in all their runs in like the past week, hasn't he?
He's kind of been the catalyst right now.
Although they got the offense going, against Wade Hampton the other night, Friday night. I think they scored 8. Yeah, they won 8-5. So yeah, they're getting it going a little bit, and I mean that lineup's not bad. They got some guys who can hit in there. Got some youth at the bottom definitely, but the top of the order can do a little damage, and like you said, they can definitely pitch it. So. I mean, all bets are off this time of year. You get two complete games in a row, and all of a sudden you look like the team to beat. It can change in a hurry. So, how about looking at 3A? That's where you got Buford.
That surprised me about that pod system. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they've still got it the old way. He said Lake City.
That's not a bad draw for Shane right there.
No, I mean Lake City is not terrible. That's winnable.
But they're not. Yeah,
you get the first one, you got a shot.
Yep.
Yeah, the winner of that game right there is in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's like an NCAA regional when you look at the 14 pods.
Yeah, because then they'll come out and they'll play the winner of this one.
Yeah, that 2-3 seed game might be better than that's a.
Well, yeah. I mean, at least you're not opposite. There's no good answer. There's no good answer. You got to play somebody from that region eventually. So you're gonna have to play one of them in the first pod. You're gonna have to play one of them in the second pod. Most likely.
Greer or somebody must have some arms if they're knocking off.
Brooklyn, Casey, and Dreer are the two. Yeah, that
they must have
knocked
some
them
arms.
down.
And we played the first year we were in it. We played up at Brooklyn, Casey in the playoffs, and that's a pretty cool little place to play too.
Yeah, Wade Hampton got a pretty good draw in 2A. They get Academic Magnet at home. They got Academic Magnet at home, and then the other half is Marion and Cheraw, which will both be solid. They'll both be solid, but that's, I mean, they're the one seed.
Is 2A in the pods, or is it in the?
They're in the pods. Yep. So we're looking at the
just
bracket
4A
here.
is the unique format this year.
It's only 4A. Yeah.
Must be
Well,
the
5A might be that way too. I didn't look at 5A. And then in 1A we got Whale Branch as the 4 seed, going to Lakeview to start. And
yeah,
we'll
there's something to do with possibly like the imbalance with the number of regions.
I think it's because there are only the 7 regions. The other classifications don't have at-larges, so they don't need to do this. And then we have the 4A softball bracket here. You got May River opening at Hartsville. And then they would go to Lugoff in the second round, most likely.
Yeah, that's just like ours.
Yep. And then you got Bluffton at West Florence. Colleton County gets Northwestern, which is wild. You get the upstate at large coming down. And then James Island will be a problem too. They got Ridgeview. So, I don't think top to bottom. I think there was a lot of parity in our softball region. I think Colleton County is pretty darn good. I think James Island's pretty decent, but I think Colleton County has the most staying power out of this bunch. But I don't know enough about these other teams, honestly, to tell you.
I think Colleton County, with the way they're swinging the bat, they're going to be a tough team to deal with. And if they can get good production from their girls in the circle, that is going to be a tough team to take down.
I think take a frontline ace to beat them.
Yeah, you're going to have to hold them down because they're going to outscore you. They're going to outscore you.
How long they can stay away from one of those girls that's going to play college somewhere that's a pitcher.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, that's a pitching and defense game.
Oh, yeah, but good pitching beats good hitting most of the time in that game.
That's what wins you games in the playoffs. It comes down to pitching. If you can have that, and especially in softball, you can have that workhorse that can just keep going the distance.
They can just keep pounding you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really does some damage.
And that's what worries me a little about Colleton. They don't really have that big strikeout.
They had Whitley Weathers was fantastic a few years ago. They've had some good pitchers. The pitching strike might not be as good this year, but the offense has really come along. But
really strong.
Definitely be a challenge. I mean, you're going against the best on best. Each of these matchups, like you're going against the best pitchers for each of these teams. So, that says a lot. If you can find that strong arm or that consistent arm, that's what wins you games. That put you deep. That what puts you deep in these playoff brackets. But yeah, so much parity with both baseball and softball these days. And I'm really excited to see how these things unfold. We have I think Colleton County, I think they've got a fighting chance. I think if they can get past Northwestern, maybe set up an opportunity most likely against AC Flora. This format, the first game is so important because if you lose, you got to win 6 in a row to get out of the bracket.
It's just a death march through the backside. Although some teams play really well with that back against the wall mentality, so you never know. But I've seen, especially softball, man, it feels like a game of momentum. You get it rolling, you win a couple, and all of a sudden you feel unbeatable. And it goes against you one game, and all of a sudden you feel like the wheels are coming off. But looking at 3A, you got Beaufort, number 2 seed. Not sure who they draw in the first round, but Region 6 usually pretty good in the softball realm, and then Battery Creek's in here as well. Again, we got a bunch of TBAs on the softball side. On the 2A softball bracket, you got Wade Hampton opening at number 1 seed Buford. And then I don't think we had any 1A teams.
I don't complain.
Actually,
Al and I were talking about this earlier today. I don't complain about the high school league a whole lot. But this is ridiculous when people are going to play tomorrow that these things aren't updated. I shouldn't have to
crazy.
A sports writer for the state newspaper's got it figured out. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's where we're all going to find these things. And, it just – come on, man. Give us some updated stuff. We're going to be playing, in the morning. Skeeza
24 hours.
somehow got it put together over at the State Farm Bureau, whoever was.
Here we go. Here we go. We got the Skeeza bracket right here. Looking at the 3A bracket, got Hilton Head Prep #1 seed, so they get Monday off, and they'll wait for Carolina or Northside Christian on Tuesday. Big advantage there. Get to set up your pitching. Hilton Head Christian on the other half of the bracket will open at home against Spartanburg Christian Monday night, and then winner will get Williamsburg on Tuesday, and then we roll on up to 2A. We got only 8 teams in this one. And you got Patrick Henry as a 2 seed. They'll face St. John's Christian tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at the Farm. Charlie Stahl's already let me know he's on the bump. So I think I'm going to try to get out to the Farm and see these fellas take on St. John's Christian.
That kid was impressive the other day.
He really was. He's something else. And, we had a good back and forth over text. And I'm impressed. I want to go see him pitch. And I want to see what he can do with Bob Jones. He's got a good mentality, good head on his shoulders, definitely. But I like them. I mean, I certainly like them in the first series, but I think they probably should have been seated ahead of Dorchester. So you got to win one on the road, but I still like their chances to get that done and get into the state championship series.
How's this work here? Look, where are they?
So you got best of 3. They're all best of 3. Patrick Henry's at home Monday, on the road Wednesday, and then if necessary Friday at home.
So that'd be big for them because that would set them up. You just don't want your guy to have to go twice.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, you'd love to be able to win Monday, Wednesday, and then be able to come back with your top 2 Monday, Wednesday again.
That rest could be very important if you can get the 2-game sweep.
Well, you're going into that semifinal round you'd be your 2 going on Monday.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can. Well, ideally you sweep Monday, Wednesday, and then you come back with the same guys Monday, Wednesday again.
And, I guess that would be another ask for those Skeeza coaches. I can't remember at one time. See, the high school league, it works off of you've got a certain days. I know at Skeeza at one time it was pitches per week. So I don't know if you reset again like you used to or not. I don't know. I'd have to ask them about that.
I think they use the same system now, don't they, with the
I can't remember. I know at one time it was pitches per week, though. So
yeah, well, but at one time we were talking about innings in a week. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You could throw 1 pitch and it counted as an inning, or you could throw 40 and it counted as an inning.
Yeah, innings are not created equal.
And I didn't really.
Those were the good ones.
The one thing I don't like about Skeeza is they have that point system, and that thing can get variable. And then if they play us,
I don't know if anybody understands. I don't know if any of that's in play anymore or anything, because they just did all the reclassification and all that. So I don't even know how you do it when you got one region that has 3 teams. Like, I think they have some sort of a selection committee that comes up with it.
It gets random.
Yeah. I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I guess. But it'll come out in the end. We'll figure out who the best teams are, and
cream rise to the top.
So, that's right. Eventually, we'll figure out who wins it.
That set up Prep. That looked like a pretty good run for Prep there. Getting that bye. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
I like the
they're in the best shape. They're definitely in the best shape. There's no doubt about
trending. They're trending positively. I think the best of our Lowco teams as of now. I really liked how they played. They dominated Hilton Head Christian Academy, although Eagles kind of rallied, almost stole that one at the end. The game I got to see, but I think Hilton Head Prep, they're swinging the bat well. They're doing some strong situational hitting, getting on base, working deep counts. That's how you win ball games. Get that starter out early, work into the bullpen. That's how you scrap across some runs. Got to play some clean defensive baseball. They've been doing it recently. If they can keep doing that, I like their chances to continue to scrap through this bracket. And I think the draw works out for them. That first home game is so critical to get it going.
Yeah, no question. And they should be in good shape there. I mean, 1 against a 4-5 winner, they should be in pretty solid
shape. The home
shape.
games tomorrow
You're 1
night.
against there, 2. Yeah, tomorrow night we got Hilton Head Christian at home, Patrick Henry at home, Buford
No,
at
Buford's
home.
Tuesday, so Hilton Head should be at home tomorrow night.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it's going to be a packed Monday. Get ready.
Yeah. Where are you going, Wes? You going to the Hilton Head game?
I'm going to I'm going to Hilton Head and Greer, just mostly because I got boys tennis is home, so I kind of cover them both.
Double whammy.
Double
whammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have soccer, some soccer playoffs too. So we'll be talking
Lowco
about that
FC
tonight on Lowco FC, 8 o'clock. So make sure to set your alarms, 8 o'clock. We're going live, Lowco FC, Wes and Misa Garzone. And I think you got Maddie Hahn from May River Soccer lined up, right? To talk about a historic win over the Bobcats and a historic trip to the playoffs. As a former May River Soccer dad, I'm sure you're proud, Ned.
Oh, yeah. Glad to see it. Coaching changed. They're having a good year. Proud to see it. They had a couple of nice wins at the end of the season. So,
yeah, absolutely.
That's carry a little momentum. Sure.
All right, fellas. Well, I think we did a pretty good job of getting us ready for the playoffs, and nice to chat with Coach Schmidt and Coach Monahan. So wish those guys well and wish all the Lowco teams well tomorrow. I never, sometimes I want seasons to end. I'm ready for the season to end, but I'm never ready for baseball season to end ever. So keep it going. Keep winning. Keep baseball and softball
I want to
season
see a
going.
team go deep
right
in the
to
net. That would be fun to see a team, compete like right until the very end. Go for that state title in the high school league, and we'll see if one of our teams can seize the opportunity this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Tournament baseball, tournament softball, good stuff. We'll be out at the ballparks. If you see us, say hi, and if not, then catch us on another episode of the Lowco Diamond Dudes. We'll figure out what our recording schedule is. We may go back to we'll probably go Thursday, I imagine.
Thursday probably good. You'll know a lot more Thursday.
Yep, and then we can hit another one early in the week next week. So stay tuned on social media. We'll be back with another episode to break down all the high school baseball and softball action here in the Lowco. For Wes Kerr and Ned Mullis, I'm Justin Jarrett. Thanks so much to our sponsors. Thanks to our guests, and thanks to you for listening or watching. Until next time, go Lowco.